topic of the day today.
Topic of the day.
The topic of the day today is vibes and money and how those two correlate to each other, because there is positive correlation with vibes and money and negative, even if you're very financially stable.
Exactly. They're too little or too much can cause chaos in the vibe department.
Exactly. I've been in every spectrum of that. So I know from experience. And
you want to rewind to our, let's say, our heyday where money was flowing?
Yeah, we had the big business before we sold it. Money was flowing. Expenses were low at the time when we started to make some money. But I know myself back in the day, if I was making 200 grand, well, now I have better credit score, I have better everything, and I have more ability to borrow. That wasn't a good thing for someone who was new into coming into some money. So if I made 200, I was spending 400. If I made 4, I was spending 8. And eventually,
oh, that's a shitload.
It's crazy because when you're buying everything, you're fun, you're happy. As soon as you buy an item, it's dopamine, right? We all love a new shopping something, right? Even if you get an Amazon package that's a box of peanuts, just getting the package and opening it is a dopamine fix. So I was addicted to dopamine fixes back in the day, and my vibe was high.
It was high?
Back in the day? Well, I thought it was. I couldn't measure it, but I was...
No, but like when you were buying shit like crazy and building a crazy house, what state was your body in? You weighed 100 pounds more than you do now.
Yeah, I was 100 pounds heavier. I was drinking all the time. But overall, like my vibe, like not my vibe score, but like I thought I was happy. I wasn't miserable. I wasn't stressed, and I wasn't financially stressed. But when I built a $5 million house on a $400,000 salary, and the budgets went up, I was stuck. That's when I started becoming stressed because, oh shit, I'm making a lot of money, but I've overspent. I wasn't educated in investing and doing the proper stuff. I kind of just had it, and it was just coming. And I was stressed like crazy. I had to write checks to finish building the house, and I didn't have enough money in the bank account, and I couldn't borrow anymore because I'd already taken a line of credit. So yeah, I was making a lot of money. I was buying whatever cars I wanted and stuff like that. But at one point, I was overreaching so hard that my vibe went from here to absolutely down there, because when you have a credit card bill to pay and you have no money to pay it and nobody to help you, shit's in trouble. So I remember one year, like I was in Greece and you sent me a text message like, dude, this is the accounting bill. What the hell are you doing? And I was like, okay. So I left Greece. A couple days later, I came home and I sold all my cars. I sold everything I pretty much had. And yeah, but
I was like, you can't possibly keep this going. It's not sustainable.
It's
going to destroy all of us.
Yeah. So I took a 2-year break. Then I bought no cars. I did buy pretty much anything. I just finished doing my house, and then I barely could afford to keep my house. If I was living in Montreal and stuff like that, maybe that's one thing. But while I was building that house, my ego was so big. I was so new into having that power that comes with the money, that I remember being with my designer and stuff, and we're looking at faucets and this and that, and she's like, oh, this one would be great. I'm like, that sucks, everyone has that. I want the best one. Yeah, you spend 15 grand on a faucet with a Lalique crystal on it.
So that's the point when you said like your vibe was good. Your perceived vibe was good.
Yeah,
so
I was so chemically imbalanced, fueled by ego, fueled by poison, which was alcohol. I was never a drug guy, but alcohol, I was drinking every night, a lot, like having a good time. And those were fueling my decisions, which ultimately led to my demise.
Exactly. So the idea is like, if you're rolling in dough and you have enough cash to keep giving you that dopamine, to keep you spinning on that hamster wheel, that is one thing. But a lot of those people who get too fat, they get really sick, they die, they have heart attacks, all that shit. And you were on that path.
Yeah.
But if you were to have a vibe score at that time, your terrible sleep, your terrible heart metrics, your fucked up body composition would have led you to having the visibility of a terrible vibe score, and you would have at least seen it.
I would have made the necessary changes to my life before making a lot of the mistakes that I made.
because the idea is, how does a vibe score help you spend less money? Or how does it actually help you? Well, if your vibe score is totally off, it's a sign that your body is totally off. And if your body is totally off, your ego is out of whack. Your decision making is messed up and going to put you in a dark place that's going to take you over the edge. And that's why people who make so much money, they end up losing a lot of money or going bankrupt, like celebrity kids and all this stuff. It's because surrounded by yes people, no one to say no to anything. And when you can buy everything, you have that power.
That's the thing too. No one ever told me no back then. Older people, younger people, people around me, always enabling and encouraging my stupid decisions.
Yeah.
Right?
So I tried.
Yeah, you did. But you were also poisoned in a different way, right?
Yeah.
So, but...
What's the different way?
Well, you weren't spending a lot, but you were out drinking and doing whatever you were doing on Friday
nights. I was getting
nights.
smashed, and I was actually controlling a lot of the finances. And so I was just saying, yeah, here, you need 300 grand? I'll wire it to you tomorrow.
Yeah. So, and vice versa, whenever. But yeah, so for me, I've been at a point where I have a lot of money, everything's good, but I was so stupid with all that money because I was fueled by alcohol and ego that I went from up here to major crash and everything. And all that caused the whole change in everything, and my whole lifestyle completely changed. So I don't regret it. I actually am grateful and thankful for those lessons. And so that was for me. And I've also been at a point where I don't have a lot of money and as much stuff as I used to have. And I've had to make big changes to my life and my lifestyle and the way I was living because I'm in between. Before I had a company, I had a big salary, I had whatever I wanted. Well, now we sold that company, moved to the States. Money was a lot lower. We had to get a lot tighter and be a lot smarter while we were building this new business before we can, make it big again. So in those times of financial stress, that was the opposite side where it's like, oh shit, like I really got to cut shit down. What are people going to think? Selling my cars. But then at some point I'm just like, the old me would have continued to put myself in debt in order to have a perceived opinion of myself from others. Whereas now I don't give a shit what you think. It doesn't matter. Like I see people commenting, there's this guy on Instagram, I'm not going to say his name or anything, but he's an older gentleman. Crazy cars, millions of dollars of car collection, beautiful, modern, brand new house with all the glass and everything. And in the last year, this guy has sold all his cars and replaced them. He bought other cars that are still cool, but a fraction of the price.
Sure.
And I just saw he listed his house for sale. And he's been transparent from the start on Instagram saying, I'm doing this because my business needs money. I need to inject money into my business to be able to grow it. Whether the economy is bad for whatever industry he's in or whether he needs to make the right investments. But the people on the street are like, oh, I don't know what's happening to this guy. Whereas I know exactly what this guy's doing because I've done it. I'm doing it currently. Selling stuff, downsizing, so that I can put it into my business and other aspects of my life that will allow me to flourish later. Because what I'm seeing from that guy is he was just stuck with a lot of expenses. And
a lot of assets, a lot of overhead.
A lot of overhead. And if business is not good and the money's no longer coming and the business is not earning, you can't pay your employees, you got to start doing what you got to do. So the way other people see him is one thing. The way I see him, I'm like, wow, that's awesome that you can actually do that at your age, because most boomers would never do that because most boomers really care about what other people think.
Exactly. And it's the whole idea of you have to take a step back in order to leap forward.
Yeah.
And
that's what we're doing.
It's really hard for a lot of people to do that because it's scary. If let's say you're born with like a little bit of money and you have this, people have this perception of you, it's kind of built into your personality. Mm-hmm. It's built into the way you live life. People are like, oh yeah, that's that guy. And it's like, on the grand scheme of things, it's like, this is the average person, this is us, and this is like, Elon Musk is like this whole room, So it's like, kind of like king of the trailer park idea, where it's like, in the grand scheme of things, you didn't have that much more. But in our heads, it's like, oh, we're so attached to this idea of we have money and we're born with money and we never want to look like we have less. But when you stop drinking, when you stop being chronically inflamed, when you start to wake up not hungover, you start to shed the weight, physically, literally, and metaphorically. You shed the fear. As you get leaner, you chisel yourself into a new version of yourself that doesn't care or doesn't concern themselves with what other people think. Like, as soon as I got sober and started working out and started tracking my nutrition and focusing on these things, so much noise. Like, that's when I shaved my head. Like,
oh yeah,
that's when that happened. I was like,
you just stopped caring
for years. Like, I started like losing my hair around, well, as soon as I turned 13, like as soon as I hit puberty, my hair like almost dissipated.
Okay.
I had the most beautiful locks. Like, this is a little side story, but as my hair started to degrade, I started to buy these powders. I was fucking putting hairspray, doing this like pompadour, doing all this stuff. And after a few like months of being sober, I looked at myself in the mirror. I was doing this shit. There's powder all over me. I go swimming. It looks like a fucking...
Someone took a shit next to you?
Yeah, it looks like what do you call it? What are those animals? They're white and they fart. And they make a lot of...
I have no idea.
Well, it looks like a hamster got shot.
We know what it looks
me.
like. When you fart.
And I was like, what am I doing? I'm like, this doesn't even look good. I look like a fucking idiot. And I was
I'm
like,
gonna try to find an old photo to pull up when you were doing
I was like,
you're
what
doing
the
your quaff.
fuck? I'm 35% body fat. I'm swollen, and I've got this 3-foot pompadour on my head that's built of hopes and dreams and dust.
Yeah.
And that was the example where it's like me driving a GT3 and having this stupid fucking hairdo. To me, having the fancy cars and the fancy life looks just as dumb as that stupid haircut that I had.
Yeah.
And when I shaved my head, that was when I said, fuck it.
Guy shaved his head, sold his rare Porsche, and then showed up to the office in a Prius. You took it a little too far there. You took it a little too far with the Prius.
But I take everything too far.
Yeah,
I took my drinking too far.
We're all extremists to the max.
But I think there's benefit in being an extremist, is that you hit the wall really fast. If you live your life 100 miles an hour, you will get to that wall faster than the average. Because what if we were just like easy, coasting, living the lifestyle, not going too hard? We'd figure out this shit at like 50.
Yeah.
And what a waste of a life.
Like I maybe it sounds a bit cocky, but well, I'm 35, 34, 35. Even when I was 26, 27, I had already lived and had way more experience than 99% of the 50-year-old adults that I knew, which is a crazy thing, because most people, you're advised to not take the crazy risk, just do what is told, do what is expected of you, and just live a nice normal life. And there's nothing wrong with that.
It probably makes sense.
It makes sense, but it's just not the way I am wired and not the way you are wired, right?
Yeah.
So like, we've toured the world, we've built businesses, we've invested in startups, we've lost money, we've made money, we've gone into new segments. We wanted to follow our passions in Hollywood. We developed a script, worked with some amazing people. Like, when we have a thought, we just go for it. Whereas most people, it'll take them 25 minutes to make a decision of what shoes to put on in the morning.
Yeah, and that's
right?
like, that's a safe way to live. If everyone was like
no, you
us,
can't be like us, because we've crashed many times, but we always rise back up.
Yeah, like
we don't care if we go to zero tomorrow, it'll suck, right? Like, if Pear doesn't work, we need to figure it out, because we're going all in on this. But if it doesn't work, fuck it, it doesn't work. We figure it out, something else will work. That's a lot of people don't have the ability to do that, because it's a difficult and stressful game.
So let's bring in, because not to shit on everybody.
Well, we're not.
The idea of the vibe score is that if you can clear yourself, you can dream bigger and you can go for it.
Yeah.
Because we've only had big ideas since we started getting healthier.
Yep.
And as we started tracking our stuff and building Pear, we are actually accelerating into the world of like, yeah, actually we want to pursue our dreams. Yeah, actually we actually do want to raise the vibe of the planet. We can actually do that measurably. Only when you're healthy does your body subconsciously give you the permission to go. Mm-hmm. If you're chronically inflamed in the comforts of a nice house and nice wines at night and like Wagyu here and there, your body is safe in that state and will do nothing or will do everything to prevent you from allowing that to dissipate.
Yeah.
And so being on both sides, having a lot of money in your bank account or having no money in the bank account, depending on your state of mind.
It's really about your state of mind. A lot of people, I see a lot of friends, we came into money earlier, we started making money earlier than most of our friends. A lot of our friends now, from 10 years ago or 12 years ago, are starting to make money now. And I'm seeing their spending habits. I know exactly how much these people make. And I'm seeing what they're doing, just watching, and I'm like, I'm not telling them anything because you only really learn by experience. There are a lot of people back in the day who would try to give me advice or tell me what to do, and I never wanted to listen to them. And they won't really listen to me. So yeah, you see them doing these things and you're just like, man.
But that's life. Like, we can only, if you're a hard-headed person or people like we are, to a certain extent, we need to learn the hard way.
That's the only way I can learn.
But what I'm seeing is if you're vibing, if your vitals are in a good place, it's easier to receive constructive criticism. It's easier to take a deep breath and look a little further than just reacting. Because when you're inflamed, when you're all fucked up, you're reactive. Mm-hmm. Everything is to get back at this person or to show this person something or to get that thing you want. Everything is a reaction rather than like, no, I have a plan. I'm going to take a calculated effort to reduce my overhead, to reduce my spending so that I can put it towards something that leads me in a direction that when I'm in my 40s and my 50s and my 60s, I'm going to live an incredible, incredible life rather than just trying to flex.
Yeah. And like, even for me, I lived a whole other life before where I had the crazy massive mansion house, I had the crazy cars, I had business, did whatever I wanted, flew all over the world at any given time. I've done that. I've gotten it all out of my system too. All that stuff that you grew up thinking you will love. And now, this is the first time I'm building a business with a clear, sober mind, with a direct path to where I need to go. And I know the reason I'm doing it. I'm building what I'm building now, not for myself necessarily. Yes, it builds freedom and money, but I'm building something where I can support and take care of my future wife, my future kids, and their future kids. I want to build something great to leave to my family, not to anybody else. I don't give a shit about legacy and all that stuff, but I know that I want a family, and I know that I want to take care of my family. I want them to live a good life, and this is what I'm doing to get there. If I was still drinking and partying and this and that, my only focus would be fucking a new girl every week, like it used to be, or buying the craziest new car and all that stuff, right? Like, not to bring up crypto again for the third week, but crypto's been crazy, and we've been invested together in like for years now, like 5 years, more even for you for Bitcoin, and it's been a crazy week or month. So obviously in my head it's like, time to buy some cars again.
Does that dawn on you?
No, well, it's like, I know that if I was not clear-headed and didn't have a direct goal, yeah, I'd probably have 3 new cars in the last week, right?
Yeah.
But I know that, one, I don't even have time to drive these things anymore. Like, for the most part, I enjoy them and I really do love them. But I have a goal. And until I hit a specific milestone that I have in my head, that's when I'm going to buy myself a new fun car or do whatever. Whereas back in the day, there were no milestones. I was bored on a Thursday. I went for lunch, had too much Jack Daniels, and I'd just go to the dealership and come back with a new car. But there's no fun in that anymore.
It's not. And don't you remember that all those dinners and those lavish things, they were like so hollow. The club nights out with all these fucking bottles, and the girls come with the bottles, and then they drink the bottles, and then they leave, and then you get another one.
I mean, I don't blame the girls. The girl's job is to get the guy to spend.
Yeah, that's their job. But I hated it even when I was drunk.
Yeah.
I fucking hated it. I like going to the local bar,
Yeah,
buying everybody within 12 feet of me a shot, and just having a good time.
Yeah.
But
the show.
The show and the waste, even in my crazy days, really fucked me up. And it made me angry.
You were an angry guy at one point.
Because
your soul was not
It was not like this
was
is
not
not
fulfilled.
It was not my purpose. This
Yeah.
is not what we need to go where it needs to go. It's like now.
Yo, we were in this will be a funny clip. We were in Taiwan for business, I don't know, 10 years ago or something. And we were with our boy Junior and I think Tino was, anyway, our friends and business partners we used to deal with. And at one point, I don't know, we were both drunk in Taiwan. Our supplier had taken us out one night. And out of nowhere, we just started battling. Like my brother you were so over the whining and dining and visiting these weird places and factories, and you were just so over everything we were doing. And I guess it just exploded one night. I don't know, maybe I triggered you with something. I'm a troll, so I'm always trolling. So
Yeah, but I never reacted to your trolling. I only reacted to your negligence. Right? Like,
Yeah.
I was like, my soul was deeply sad because I knew that it's almost like I could see the future and I knew it was going to be a rough decade.
Yeah. So I think we had a battle royale in Taiwan. We once had a battle royale in
Spain,
in Isla Canela, and but that was always drunken rage because you're the most zen, peaceful guy ever, and that rage was only fueled by my stupidity and our stupidity because we were both doing some stupid stuff back then.
Yeah. My stupid thing that I was doing was, like, when you are drunk and out of control, you spend like crazy and you have an inflated ego. When
Yeah.
I'm drunk, I'm a people pleaser and I just say yes because I was your business partner the whole time. Mm-hmm. And so I think there was this innate sense of disappointment in myself for allowing this to fucking happen.
We also knew back then, which I mean, whatever. We can touch on it, is salaries. Salaries are good, but back in the day, I was not someone who should have a salary. Back when, in that lifestyle. Because I knew that, I don't know, for years, every Saturday, I was going to the club or the bar and spending 5 digits every weekend for years. That's insane, right?
Yeah. And I didn't take a salary for 2 years.
Yeah, I know, that is your fault. You could have. But the salary, because I knew no matter what I spent that week, the next week it's back. And I didn't even have to do anything. When you're running the company and a lot of the things are in line and you have hundreds of employees or 100 employees, you could take a week or 2 or 3 or a month.
And there was continuous growth.
I could be anywhere I want. I could still have my meetings. I was traveling the world having meetings, whining and dining clients after we were rebuilding our infrastructure inside. But the salary for me at that time was bad. Now I don't take a salary. Now I take money through my investments when I need them. Oh, cash out? Okay, I keep more money in crypto and in stuff like that. And I will transfer it to my bank to pay bills and what I need. But the salary for me was not a good thing.
At least not in that state of mind.
Not in that state of mind. Today is a different story. I have a salary. I'm smart with it, and it comes back, and I appreciate it. But yeah, the salary for me, the continue, and it wasn't $2,000 I was getting every week, right?
Yeah, it was a lot. But like
So
the difference now, it's like now that like investments, when they work out, when we take profit, it's like, okay, can we fast track some of what we wanted to do with investors and keep more equity and put it into our business? Because we want to create a financial vehicle that far exceeds any investment we have.
Exactly.
Because now, like learning what we're learning, like I didn't take a salary, and this was when I got sober, I actually became crazier because I was like too.
You became so clear that
I was like, I don't need a salary. We're going to save the company cash flow. We're going to get consultants to fix our supply chain. I don't need that money. We have a big line of credit, so I don't want to make the company pay too much of that because we got to pay suppliers. So I won't take a salary for a few years, and we'll give it to the consultants so that we can have a better streamlined machine. Sure, it led to our sale and running efficiently, but also knowing that I need to take some for myself.
Yeah.
So now I appreciate investments. I understand that when I cash out investments, there's taxes to pay because we were hit with these huge tax bills at the end of the year, and there could have been a more efficient way of doing things.
Yeah.
It's not just pulling X amount, it's X amount plus that at the end of the year. It's like, oh shit. And then I have to sell another investment, which incurs another taxable event. And
Yeah.
And so there's all this shit.
But all that to say is that, let's say in the last 12 years, we have learned so much because we've done so much, we've experienced so much. Whereas I'm assuming, I'm sure like a lot of people watching this have not experienced this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and we've
And so that's why, like, I can't tell people what to do, and I don't like to tell people what to do unless they ask me. But what I can do is lead by example, tell the stories of the old me, of the old life, of the old business, and show where I am now, show why I changed, why I decided to take control of my life. I'm still working on it, but trying to get that ego down. And to me, life has been so much better and more peaceful in this newer, more calm, more reasonable version of myself. Because even back then, like, I remember like friends of mine, and this, I was like young, but I was like, friends of mine were like, oh, you're going out tonight, it's like Formula One weekend, like, do you have a table, can I come? And I'd be like, you're not coming to my table unless you contribute $10,000 to the thing. And like I think about that now, I'm like, I don't like that person. That is a bad person. That is not a good person. And that was just me being so hyped up with, when you start making a lot of money, you start hanging out with people with no real substance who also have a lot of money. And those are the only people you hang out with. And if you're not one of those people, then you're a loser. Like, that's my thinking when I was alcohol fueled, deep in the suck, like the whole thing. And I look at that now, I'm like, what a disgusting, disgusting person that was, right?
Yeah.
But I'm happy I was that person because it turned me into the person I am today, and I'm quite happy with the person I am today.
Your evolution as a person, you've always been a good person deep down, always. You've always been a good person who wants to do the right thing by people.
Yeah.
But I saw your journey when the alcohol and the money started, and you turned into an uglier version of yourself.
Yeah.
And so did I. But once you embarked on your health journey, which was fueled by your passion of cars, you wanted to start driving cars on Saturday morning and going for your cruises.
Yeah.
And you couldn't be hungover to do that because you wanted to enjoy yourself. And that started the positive feedback loop. And passion led you there. Your passion for cars led you to a healthier lifestyle.
Yeah.
And your evolution and your self-awareness has been incredible. Mm-hmm. Because out of the two of us, you were always the more material version.
Yeah, I always like nice, shiny
and
shiny things.
It's just is what it is. Like, in this,
I still love amazing material things, but I don't let them consume me anymore.
Yeah, you are not them.
No.
Like, they don't define who you are.
No.
And that's a really beautiful thing about how you've evolved. And we're talking about big numbers here. It's fun to talk about.
Well,
but it's big numbers, but this applies to anybody. Whether you make $80,000 a year or $40,000 a year or $2 million a year, the ratios are the same.
Exactly
If you're inflamed and you make a little bit of money, and you're having a couple of glasses of wine at night, and you're maybe doing some sports betting, or you're on Amazon buying shit you don't need constantly, you're constantly spending a little more than you're making perpetually, and it adds up, and it adds up, and it adds up, and at a certain point, it's very difficult to get out of. So if you're making millions, but you're spending millions, you're in a tough spot. If you're making tens of thousands and you're spending tens of thousands, so it's like this applies to everyone. And bringing it back to the vibe score, if you want to lose weight, you got to consume less calories. You got to burn more calories than you consume. Mm-hmm. If you want to be profitable in life, you got to spend, it's very easy, less than you make. And so the vibe score allows you, just by virtue of having that, you're going to be more self-aware, you're going to be less egotistical, you're going to be making less stress response decisions, and it will help prevent nonsense from happening more often than not.
Yeah, totally agree. A lot of nonsense back then. But yeah, it doesn't matter how much you make, because I see people who make 70 grand a year, they get a raise from 70 to 75, they go rent a new house, and they change their Volkswagen Golf to a Mercedes C-Class.
Or an S4.
Or an S4 or A4 S-Line.
Yeah.
But the thing that I learned, and maybe the advice that I can give based on my own experience and on a meme that I saw recently is most people, as they start to make more money in their lives, they tend to buy more things that they can now afford, and ultimately end up raising their overhead. But if you want to really win at life, is the more you are making, when you start making more, reduce your overhead. Spend less, save more. Do that for like 3 years, and you're going to be shocked. Remember, even in our crazy days, at one point you opened a separate bank account and you had 10% of your salary put into that bank account. You didn't even have access to that bank account for like 5 years. And then
I did that when Dad was still alive.
Yeah, and then out of nowhere, you went to check on that account and there was like a whole bunch of money in there that you didn't even know you had. And it just went into a separate account that you didn't even have access to. It wasn't in your main account where you could
wasn't
go
on my phone.
You
There
can't
was no
see it on your
phone.
phone. You can't go on your online banking. You can't see it at the bank because it's a different bank that you don't even go to.
Yeah.
And it was like secret stash, just a little bit in there. That was a huge move because when you needed that money,
It was there.
it came in clutch.
Yeah. Kind of like having.
I think you might have used that money to buy your first Bitcoin.
Maybe I did. I think I did.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like I want to put my money now, not in fancy shit that the neighbors can see. I want to put my money in things that are going to grow. First of all, like I'll put it in investments. I'll put it into my business because there's no one I'm going to bank on more than myself and you.
Totally agree.
So if I'm going to cash out investments that did really well, I'm not going to buy a fucking car. I'm going to put it into the business that I'm going to invest and raise and build to create like not only a better life for us so we can take care of our friends and family, but creating a product
That helps the world.
That helps the world.
Yeah, absolutely. What was I going to say with that is put that in. Oh, a little funny story is back in the day, like I remember after I got back from Greece or whatever, I was in LA at some point, Los Angeles. I remember I was walking on Melrose and we were on the phone. This was at a time where I was like paying off debts. I was spending too much, so I had reduced a lot of my overhead. I didn't have extra cash, which I always had extra cash for emergencies or put whatever. But I had so many bills and credit cards that I had to like pay and pay back the company because I was overspending. I had no extra money, but I remember calling my brother. I called you and I was like, yo, do you have this amount of money for yourself, not for me? And you were like, yeah. I said, figure out how to buy Bitcoin. There's a thing called Bitcoin. A lot of people are talking about it. I don't know a lot about it, but you know how to figure these weird things out. It wasn't like just going on an app and buying it back then. It was so complicated. And you're like, okay, give me 2 days. Like 2 days later, you messaged me like, hey, I bought like a couple Bitcoins or something. And it barely costed you anything.
3.25.
You bought 3.25 Bitcoin?
Yeah.
And it cost you
I think it was 6K Canadian.
Yeah, so like $4,500 American or whatever. And then again, with you literally put it into a briefcase and then you put it in a storage unit, not even in your own house, and you forgot about it. And then in 2021, I called you when Bitcoin went parabolic and hit that first high. I think it was 60,000 it hit for the first time ever. I was like, yo, please tell me you still have your Bitcoin. And you were like, I don't even know.
No, I knew I had it.
You're like, I don't even know where it is right now or whatever. I was in Florida. It was during COVID. You were still in Montreal. I was in Florida. And I was like, please tell me you have that. And then you called me like a few hours later, like, I got it all. I said, boom, let's do this. So
and the same thing happened.
So when I was broke and I was like not able to make those investments that I wanted to make, at least you were smart enough to not be me.
Well, because my problem is actually that I spend too little.
Yeah.
I'm too, like, I want to be too self-sufficient.
You borrow my laptop, you borrow my car, because
I'm buying a laptop.
You could buy everything.
I'm buying a laptop
you could
next
literally
week.
buy a house tomorrow, but if I have it, why would you need to buy it?
I want to keep overhead low. I want to invest in my business rather than put a down payment on a house. I know that the business is going to be worth 100x in like 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's our goal. That's our goal.
So that's just how my mind works, though. Like, but this is it. When we were little kids, I used to have this little, Trix, the cereal. Mm-hmm. I had a Trix wallet that came with.
Tricks are for kids.
Yeah, and every time our grandfather gave us like $10, $20, $50.
Oh,
on
he'd
birthday,
always
whatever,
give us money. That
he
was
would
nice.
spend it immediately on like Pokemon cards, and hockey cards and toys, and I just stacked the wallet. I stacked the wallet. So every time that I got money from anyone, this little baby wallet got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And what happened? The cleaning lady stole it.
Oh, no!
Yeah, the cleaning lady stole it.
Dang.
And so the lesson for me is enjoy your money a little bit,
Yeah.
or put it to use, but it's better to invest it and to let it grow.
I'll probably post some of these clips on
This is funny.
my car account, but if you do start making money and you love cars like I do and you want to buy cars that go up in value. Don't buy the newest and coolest thing. Buy something that's either depreciated already, or buy a new car that you know is limited and will go up in value. Those are great investments, and I know a lot of people who are buying those cars. The thing is, today, I don't really have interest in those cars because they're all like hyper cars, and I don't really care. I like a driver-focused car.
Yeah.
So, and even then, even though I'm not buying cars now and everything, I still love cars. It's most of my day on whatever I'm doing on the internet is usually car related. I go to do events, and most of my friends are all car related people. So it's still something I like, and it's something I'll never stop buying.
Well, yeah, because you
But
love.
I'm so much smarter about
it's
it now.
passion.
It's passion. So I'm a lot smarter than it now, and like I have goals, and I have milestones of when I'm gonna buy which car.
Yeah.
Right? Like I know the next car I'm gonna buy. I know exactly what it is. I know exactly how much it costs. Can I get it today? Yeah. Will I? No. I need to hit that first milestone. The second milestone, I know exactly which car that is, and I'm going to buy that as soon as I hit it. It's a 997.2 GT3 RS. But yeah, and it's actually more rewarding to buy these things when you hit a milestone. It actually means a lot more. And back in the
when
day,
you actually earn it.
and then back in the day, I used to buy cars, the newest and coolest car. Whatever was brand new, I wanted to be the first. One, I think that was my ego. Two, I love driving and testing new cars and technology. I can't deny that. But a lot of it was also like, okay, I'm growing my socials. I need a new car so that I can continue to grow my socials on my car pages and do this and that. And at one point it got so crazy. Now, none of the cars I want are new. They're all like very special cars to me. I don't care what anyone else thinks about them. And those are what I want.
Yeah, and your personality is shining through it. Like you could have done that the whole time, but you just didn't know. You thought it was the cars that the people wanted, not you.
Exactly.
And you are a very special part of why your page grew and everything. It's your eye, it's your questions and answers that you do. It's your beautiful personality.
Yeah, and I also worked very hard. When I decided to create that car account, it was at the point where I had no cars when I had sold everything. And a new Aston Martin came out. I know this is not really about vibes, but we're in it anyway. A new car came out, and I was like, okay, I know I shouldn't order it, but it was when we were starting to go less in our own business and starting investing in more businesses.
Yeah.
So I created my car account so that my employees didn't see that life of mine. And my goal with the car account was build a network. I'm looking to invest in people's great companies, and I want people to be able to invest in my great ideas when I come up with them. And that was the goal of my account. And I was like, hey, well, I can't do that without a cool car. So I bought the cool car that I always wanted, and it propelled me. I got to like the first 3 months, I was at 50,000 followers organic, and I met amazing people on and off, right, with those cars. So
there was logic and sense when you started to actually be clear.
Yeah, because I was much more clear back then.
You were strategic rather than just like biggest dick in the room.
Exactly.
And yeah, man, I'm with you.
So yeah, so that's just that. So yeah, like vibes and money, it's like at the end of the day, just because you make a lot of money doesn't mean you're vibing high. Obviously, it's nice to be able to sleep at night and not have financial stress. But I've seen so many people where that doesn't last very long because they are overspending and overreaching, and then they end up just imploding. So,
and to medicate that stress, it's a feedback loop of like, yeah, I'll have the wine every night and this, and then there's it's never ending. Mm-hmm. And it sounds cheesy as hell, but health is wealth.
It's no joke. It's no joke.
It's for real.
Yeah, and we're not saying that you can't be successful if you drink wine and stuff. No, not at all. Like I haven't had a sip of alcohol in 3 years. I love wine. I love a good red Cabernet. I cook with them a lot. I make a lot of sauces with them and stuff, but I'm not saying I'm never going to drink again. I wasn't an alcoholic. I was just an extremist.
Yeah, you just went full ham.
Yeah, like it is what it is. But alcohol, at this point, a glass of wine isn't going to do much for me. So why would I even need it?
Yeah,
right?
and it hits hard because I have a drink here and there, and every time it feels like I had 20. I'm so hungover. Like I feel no buzz, and I'm hungover as shit. I hate it.
Guy had 2 sips of sake at sushi restaurant a couple weeks ago.
Oh, man.
And you needed to take a day off the next day.
Yeah, I was.
The old version of you would have said, "Man, you are such a loser."
Yeah, that's what I would drink in between drinks.
Yeah, that's too funny. So,
Yeah.
anyway, vibes and money, they're a good thing. If you start to
let me
make a
just
lot
fix
of,
this really
if you
fast.
start to make a lot of money, be smart with it. Keep your vibe high, and
And you'll be better with it.
yeah, and that's it.
And we want to prove that, actually. We want to prove that we built a company based on this measurable mantra of vibes and money to show that you can actually identify a white space and build a hugely profitable business with by tracking your vibe score and partnering with health-centric individuals.
And our entire team and the growing team and all the new people that will start working for us soon, they all live by the code.
yeah,
They all have a wearable.
yeah.
If you want to work for us, you got to follow the code.
Yeah, it's just what it is. It's a value thing, and I'm not afraid to say it. Like,
No, because we're not forcing people to come work for us. It's like an athlete, a football player or a basketball player. A lot of them in their contracts are like, you cannot drink alcohol during the main season. You cannot do this during the main season because it will affect your performance.
yeah, and for us, it's the
same with us.
It's
It's
not
like-
a contract thing. It's just like,
Yeah. If you want to work for us, you need to live by the code. That's it. Because how are you going to explain and do well in this business if you're not really living by what we're preaching?
yeah, and we're gonna build a company based on the world we're trying to create. So
Exactly. So it needs to be great. Anyway, to finish off this podcast,